Hey everybody, welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel I'm going to be reviewing a film that I mentioned a while back in a previous review. This one actually took a while to get to me, so I apologize for the delay. I had this movie pre-ordered and the pre-order got canceled, but thankfully the lovely people over at Viper Video in Tampa were able to get this in stock for me, and I'm so glad that they were able to. Viper Video is a wonderful little store in Tampa, Florida. If you live in the Tampa area, definitely check them out. I'm going to put their address and website down below here. But this is the sequel to A Fistful of Dollars. This is the all-new 4K Arrow Video release of For a Few Dollars More. And this release here, just like the previous release of A Fistful of Dollars, is a pretty packed set here. Just to kind of show you guys some stuff, this has a really, really beautiful inside case. It's a hard kind of case here, and then inside you have the 4K case, the plastic case there. This opens up, and you can see there's two discs. There's the 4K and the Blu-ray with the special features. And then it even has a double-sided poster as well as a perfect bound book that has a bunch of articles about the film along with pictures and more artwork and stuff. So this is a really beautiful set here, just like A Fistful of Dollars was. And this is a brand new transfer that is from the original 2-perforation Technoscope negative. So this is completely different from the previous Kino Lorber transfer, which I just so happen to have right here. Now, this one is another one that I never bought on 4K. I only bought the Blu-ray because the 4K had no HDR on it. The only 4K of this series I purchased was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and that's really just because I love that film so much. For a Few Dollars More is probably my least favorite of the series, even if you can even call it that. That Man with No Name trilogy or the Dollars trilogy, whatever you want to call it. I really love these movies, but this is probably my least favorite one. Just because the pacing of this film to me was never that great. It is a very methodically, kind of almost slow-paced film compared to the first one. And even the massive length of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, it just rolls at such a great pace. Even the extended version does. This one just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of stumbles around for me. Your opinion may vary. That's just my opinion. I still enjoy it. It's still a great film. But in terms of the series, this is probably the bottom for me. But anyway, today we're going to be reviewing this all-new 4K transfer here. We're going to be talking about the picture quality, the audio quality, and the special features, which are all on that secondary disc. There are quite a few of them, so here we go. So first and foremost, let's jump into the picture quality here, because that's kind of the big reason for me to purchase this new transfer here from Arrow Video. This has Dolby Vision on here, unlike the previous release from Kino Lorber, which had no HDR whatsoever. And Dolby Vision HDR has really changed the game when it comes to the picture quality of this film. Much like A Fistful of Dollars, this movie now has a completely different color palette than it did before on this Kino Lorber disc. Now, the one thing I do have to mention is the differential between this 4K transfer and this new one from Arrow Video. It's not as massive as the one with A Fistful of Dollars. That one there, the picture quality on the original transfer from Kino Lorber, I should say, That transfer was very, very bluish green, almost teal throughout. I actually went back and rewatched this before I watched for a few dollars more here. Was very surprised to see it wasn't as huge of a difference in terms of colors. The first one, again, a huge differential, but this one, I noticed it's more of a subtle change in certain ways. This transfer from Kino Lorber definitely favored greens more than anything else, even though the entire tone of the film was not a greenish hue like it was with A Fistful of Dollars. It definitely was more towards that end of the spectrum through most of the film. There is kind of bluish hues here and there that just felt out of place to me, and they always kind of looked a little weird. With this new transfer from Arrow Video, the tones definitely go towards more reddish orange. Skin tones are way more accurate on this disc than they were in any previous release of this film. The bluish green kind of hues that pop up on this previous release are completely gone. And even though it wasn't as much as A Fistful of Dollars, now we really have a much more natural palette throughout. Even though, like I mentioned, oranges and reds are definitely more the hue here, it just fits this film better than anything else I've seen before. It's not overly yellow, it's not overly red, it's not overly green. It's just kind of natural on the eyes, kind of like if you were just looking at something in real life. Skin tones, as I mentioned, there is a really nice, healthy look of this film now. That new color palette really favors the plentiful browns and greens and yellows and reds of this film. There's a lot of brown in this movie. There's a lot of wood interiors. There's a lot of dusty deserts and sand and stuff in this film. And it just looks so much better and more lifelike and accurate than it ever has been before. The detail level on this transfer is definitely a huge jump from the previous one from Kino Lorber. I noticed a lot more facial details, little things here and there with clothing, with the surroundings, even certain wanted posters and stuff I was able to kind of make out just a little bit better. There is also one thing I have to mention here that's very important, is that this transfer here does not shy away from film grain. And to be honest, it is pretty heavy at times. The opening of the film, the credits, is hazy almost with film grain. That's because it was optically kind of put into the film there. So it can be swarmy at times. If you do not like film grain, you are absolutely going to hate the transfer of this movie. I found it tolerable. I actually kind of think it adds to the charm of this movie. It has that gritty aspect that I really like. But I know not all of you like film grain. I love when I see film grain in a film that was shot on film. That's a lot of the word film being used there. But to me, it really fits this movie. And because of that film grain, that detail level is at an all-time high. So I really appreciate Arrow Video going and really not using pretty much any DNR on this at all. I could not see any usage of digital noise reduction on this. And I was actually pretty impressed with that. I'm glad they left the film as natural as they possibly could get it. And it was fantastic. I mean, the movie as a whole, in terms of picture quality, really is phenomenal. And I would put it way above the Kino Lorber disc here on picture quality alone. Now, as for audio quality on For a Few Dollars More, this one's actually kind of interesting because there's actually 3 audio tracks for the film, and then there's also some commentary tracks. So the first thing I want to mention is there is a newly restored original English mono audio, and that is a 1.0. It's a true mono track. All audio comes from the center speaker in your home theater setup. And then there's also a secondary mono track. Now, this is something that, ironically enough, I did not see any advertisements on the box for this. But there is a secondary mono track that has a slightly different mix. And in the menu of the 4K disc, you'll see that it's mixed to avoid some distortion that actually naturally occurred in the original audio track for this film. So it's interesting that they included that in this. And then on top of that, there's also a newly remixed 5.1 DTS HD master audio on there. And I've only watched the movie one time on 4K, but I switched back and forth between the three audio tracks. And in my opinion, in this case, I kind of like the 5.1 more than any other version of the audio in here. And some of you guys are purists, and I know you're going to hate me for this, but that mono track, to me, it just didn't have enough liveliness in it to really give me a home theater experience. Now, it's just my opinion. Yours may differ, but I like the original audio tracks. I'm glad they put them in there. It was really interesting that they did that secondary mono track, which is basically the exact same audio track, just slightly altered. That was really nice to mitigate some of the distortion. And when you watch the movie and a lot of the action sequences, especially where there's explosions, you can kind of hear that distortion a little. It's a little interesting. The 5.1 track has like no issues, in my opinion. And, you know, you have the surrounds being used really well. The dialogue sounds great. Whereas to me personally, the mono track just was kind of a little too jumbled. And again, that's the way this movie was made. Everything was going to that one audio track. Whereas the 5.1, again, was much clearer. The music from Ennio Morricone sounded absolutely phenomenal. Again, the sound effects sounded great. So to me, that's my preference. Yours may vary, but it is great that they gave so many options. And for the purists out there, you're going to love the fact that original mono track is on here. It really is phenomenal that we got that on this set. There's also a ton of commentaries on here. There is a commentary with Sir Christopher Frayling, which I think is actually an older commentary that was brought back for this release. And then there's another audio commentary by film historian and critic Tim Lucas. And there's also the original Italian credits and an intermission break that are separate from the main feature. So that's really cool. They put that in there. There's also a bunch of trailers and TV spots on that 4K disc. So you have quite a few things just on the 4K disc itself. But now going into the special features, well, nice little transition there, a little segue for you. But the Blu-ray disc has a ton of special features on it. The first one is an interview with film historian Fabio Miele, who also did an interview on the previous Fistful of Dollars release. And that's basically a little featurette about the film itself, him talking about the making of the film and the actual movie itself. And then there's a second one that is an interview with Lee Van Cleef biographer Mike Malloy, called No One Shoots at the Colonel. And I actually really liked that one because it talked a lot about Lee Van Cleef, who plays a great part in this movie. And he was just a great actor. He had just such a tough look to him. He just looked like a tough guy. And every movie I've ever seen him in, he plays a great part in. So really nice to see that. There's also another little interview with, I don't want to mispronounce the name here, Giudita Simi, who is the daughter of costume and set designer Carlo Simi, and she talks about her father's time on this film, which is really nice. It's actually probably my favorite special feature on here. There's another interview with Bruno Battisti Diamario. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that right. And that featurette is another snippet of an interview where he talks about his time working with Ennio Morricone. And then there's another featurette that is called Timeless Voice, which is an interview with vocalist Eddie Del Orso. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these names, but he is one of the voices in the chorus that you hear in For a Few Dollars More. And those voices and those choruses are really kind of make the score of this film. It's really, really impressive. There's also another featurette featuring Ennio Morricone biographer Alessandro De Rosa, and that is called For a Few Notes More, and that talks about Ennio Morricone's work on this film. There's also like a 20-something minute visual essay about the music of Ennio Morricone by a gentleman named Lovely John. And that was really nice. That's kind of a love letter to Ennio Morricone's musics and themes throughout the years. And that was really nice to hear somebody talk so lovingly about a composer that had an impact on him. That was really cool. There's also an hour-long interview with Sergio Leone that is from 1983. So that is really cool. It's never been released in full ever before, so you do get this complete interview for the first time. That's really, really nice. And then there's also a bunch of archive extras that have been re-released on this Blu-ray from previous releases, whether they be on MGM DVDs or that Kino Lorber Blu-ray. So what are my thoughts on For a Few Dollars More here? I think, again, just like A Fistful of Dollars, this is kind of the new definitive release of this film. Even though, like I mentioned, it wasn't as big of a differential between this and the previous release, it's still a bump in picture quality and a bump in audio quality. And if you love these movies, then you're really going to appreciate this release. It's a home run. Again, it's a home run just like Fistful of Dollars was, and it's got me even more excited for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which sadly, I guess, has been delayed until the second week of August. I think it was like August 11th or something like that. So kind of a bummer, but I do have that one pre-ordered through my friends at Viper Video, and I know for a fact that they come through, so I'm very, very excited about that, and I definitely will be reviewing that when it comes out, so very excited. First of all, thank you for making it this far in the video. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe down below. But there's one thing I wanted to mention to you guys that is a little more on a somber note. Well, there's really no easy way to put this, but this week I got some really bad news. Earlier this week, before me posting this video, I found out that my stepdad had passed away. And he was a big part of my life. He really was a father to me, more than my actual father ever was. I really owe it to him in some way to permanently honor his memory, and I am devoting this video to him. So anytime somebody watches this, they'll know a little bit more about him. Walter was a great man, and he was a part of my life for 27 years, and now that I'm 35 years old, my birthday was recently, now that I'm 35, I can see how much of a part of my life that he was. And he was always there for me. He was a great, great man. He was funny. He was very, very resourceful. He was a veteran. He was just one of the greatest people I've ever known in my life. And him being gone now, it's tough. It's really tough. And I wanted to make this video for him because Walter was a huge Western fan. He was a huge, huge Western fan, and he loved this movie, along with a lot of other Clint Eastwood films. His favorite Clint Eastwood film was The Outlaw Josie Wales. he had a love for cowboys and stuff like that. John Wayne and all those guys. He loved these movies, and so this video is for him. And I'm gonna miss him very much. And so anyway, sorry for that, ending on that kind of rough note, but I want to share that with you guys, and hopefully it means something to you. If your father or your stepfather is still out there, give him a call, tell him you love him. That's all for today for Kavanaugh's Corner. Just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching and subscribing, and I will see you next time.